The Congress is being anti-constitutional by batting for Muslim quotas. That's not how the founding fathers envisaged quotas. DK seems to have walked back on his comments, but the damage seems to have already been done.
Why do we need even a 4% reservation in contracts for minorities?
See, there is a big question on this, big debate ongoing on this. I don't want to name some of the leaders' name here of the BJP. They were just criticized. These fellows doesn't have anything in their brain. They are fit for a parliament member for putting punctures, some small things. One only cutting this mutton. They doesn't have anything in their brain. That is what they are telling. It is our duty to uplift all the section of the society. Reservation is, it has been decided after our freedom that all which are the weakened sections should be protected. So economically we have to uplift them. We have given a lot of opportunity, reservation on education, on employment. But in the sense of economics also, till some 2 crores of rupees, SC, ST, other backward class, and some section of the, in Karnataka we have, in minority means that 2A, 2B, we have decided, it has been decided a settled law very long back. So ultimately we decided that let us also help that community in a smaller way. Let them come forward and let them be part of the development process.
But the criticism is that even the constitution doesn't allow for reservations based on religion.
Yes, I agree. Let us see, let us watch, let what court comes out. We have started something. I know that everyone will go to the court. Let us wait for some good day. Good day will come. Lot of changes are there. Constitutions will be changing. There are judgments which alters the constitution also. See, BJP doesn't have any work. They are trying to mislead the nation. I am a sensible politician. I know. You just go to the records. I have not said anything. I have said that in various orders they will go for, public will go for court, and courts have given various judgments, and connected to that various amendments have taken place. This is the history of this country. I have not said, I am not I have basic common sense. How can we change the constitution? I came to TV18 conclave, there also I have very categorically, I have just said nothing is impossible. Let judgments come, the time will come, things may change, and I said that nothing is, whatever they are quoting is wrong. There are some cases where when courts have given, states have changed their amendments. That is what I have said. Apart from that, let us wait, I said. Nothing to hurry on this, and we are not in favor of any changing the constitution. We are there to protect the constitution.
आज कांग्रेस पार्टी का संवैधानिक पद पर बैठ करके वरिष्ठ नेता जब बोलता है कि संविधान को बदलाया जाएगा मुसलमानों को रिजर्वेशन देने के लिए, ये हम मंजूर नहीं हो सकता है। मैं कांग्रेस पार्टी से कहना चाहता हूँ, आप अपना पोजीशन क्लियर करो कि उस संवैधानिक पद पर जो बैठा है उसको तुरंत बर्खास्त करे, नहीं तो हम बर्दाश्त नहीं करेंगे। संविधान की रक्षा करना हम सबका जिम्मेदारी होना चाहिए। अध्यक्ष महोदय,
देश का संविधान जो डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर ने बनाया वो कोई बदल नहीं सकता। रिजर्वेशन भी कोई खत्म नहीं कर सकता।
लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन ने जो बात कही है वो सरासर झूठ और गलत है। कांग्रेस का इतिहास रहा है, चाहे वो कर्नाटक की विधानसभा रही, कर्नाटक के विधानसभा में ठेकेदारों को कॉन्ट्रैक्ट देने के लिए 4% का रिजर्वेशन का प्रस्ताव पारित किया है। 4% का ये अंबेडकर के रखवाले बनते हैं। उपसभापति जी, ये अंबेडकर के रखवाले बनते हैं। सरदार पटेल ने और अंबेडकर ने कहा कि रिजर्वेशन ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ रिलीजन विल नॉट टेक प्लेस। धर्म के आधार पर रिजर्वेशन नहीं होगा। इन्होंने तेलंगाना की विधानसभा में पहले तो इन्होंने एससी का, एसटी का और और ओबीसी का हक मार करके रिजर्वेशन मुस्लिम्स को, माइनॉरिटीज को देने का काम किया है। और इन्होंने बैकडोर एंट्री क्या की है? बैकडोर एंट्री ये की है कि माइनॉरिटीज को, मुस्लिम्स को स्पेसिफिकली ओबीसी में बैकडोर से एंट्री देने का भी काम, कुछ से प्रयास इन्होंने किया। इतिहास इस बात का गवाह है। और अभी भी मेरे वक्तव्य के बाद डीके शिवकुमार ने फिर से कहा है कि संविधान कांग्रेस ने दिया है, संविधान को बदलने का काम भी कांग्रेस करेगी।
Now, there are both arguments for and against this whole idea of minority quota. Karnataka Congress government says that reservation is a push to consolidate what is called the Ahinda, which is minorities and backward castes. It's a group that has been a specialty of the Siddaramaiah government. Siddaramaiah in particular, as a politician, has come on the back of this Ahinda vote bank consolidation. Now, the BJP says that this is perceived as minority appeasement or Muslim favoritism. The Congress says that reservation empowers backward communities, and even within this 4% quota that's been given, you have to show that you belong to a certain number of backward communities, even if you are Muslim, to avail of that 4% quota. The BJP is, of course, raising concerns that why should public works contracts be decided upon basis of religion? This could only lead to compromised quality. The Karnataka government's argument is that this 4% quota for Muslims in public contracts, it boosts minority entrepreneurs, and therefore that's a boost to the community itself. The BJP says it violates the principle of secularism, where the state is not supposed to have any favoritism when it comes to a particular religion. The Karnataka Congress government's argument is that the rationale behind the move is for diverse infrastructure for diverse needs. The move may fuel social fragmentation, argues the BJP. But here's the thing, the founding fathers, the framers of the Constitution, did not envisage reservation on the basis of religion. This is what Dr. Ambedkar, Jawaharlal Nehru and Sardar Patel have said on religion-based reservations. The founding father of the Constitution, Dr. Ambedkar, spoke against religion-based quota. Even Nehru had spoken out against it. This is what Dr. Ambedkar said in the Constituent Assembly debate. This was the 30th of November 1948, and I quote, "If we were to concede in full demand the demands of those communities who have not so far been employed in public services to the fullest extent, what would really happen is we shall be completely destroying the first proposition upon which we are all agreed, namely that there shall be an equality of opportunity." Pandit Nehru, in his letter to chief ministers on the issue of reservation in June 1961, said if we go in for reservations on communal and caste basis, we swamp the bright and able people and remain second-rate or third-rate. I am grieved to learn of how far this business of reservation has gone based on communal consideration. It has amazed me to learn that even promotions are based sometimes on communal and caste considerations. And Sardar Patel, India's first Home Minister, was against reservation for Muslims. In the report of the advisory committee headed by Sardar Patel, it mentioned that it was no longer appropriate in the context of free India and of the present conditions that there should be reservation of seats for Muslims, Christians, Sikhs or any other religious minority. The reservation of seats for religious communities, it was felt by that committee, did lead to a certain degree of separatism and was to that extent contrary to the conception of a secular democratic state. So let me go across to our face-off tonight. R.P. Singh, national spokesperson of the BJP, Lavanya Ballal, spokesperson of the Congress, joining us. Lavanya Ballal, you know, DK Shivakumar said this at the News18 Diamond States event yesterday. Now he seems to be walking back on it because of the furor in Parliament, the furor in the Karnataka Assembly. What is the Congress's position? Are you in favor of minority reservation? Because that's not how the founding fathers envisaged reservation.
Good evening, Zakka. If I may set a few things correct, if you would allow me that much of liberty. The categorization of backward classes in Karnataka, under which 2AB, that is what we are talking about, the 4% for minorities, is what everybody is claiming, but it is not only for Muslims. When it comes to 2AB, in September 1994, under which Muslim communities have been listed under category 2B, after carrying out educational and socio-economic backwardness survey, reservation was not on the basis of religion, but only on the basis of backwardness. And this was continued in Congress, BJP, and JDS governments in the state till date from 1994. Now, let me give you a breakup of what everybody gets in my state. Okay? It is currently the new cap as of March 2025. The cap of reservation in civil work contracts was raised across the board to rupees 2 crore, applicable as follows. 24% for SC/STs, 4% for OBC contractors belonging to category 1, 15% for OBC contractors belonging to category 2A, 4% for OBC contractors belonging to category 2B. Do you see the breakup? Do you see how much SC/ST is taking from this pie? Right?
No,
Zakka,
ma'am, the issue is not whether you're taking from somebody's pie and giving it to somebody else. The issue is that why should public works contracts be decided, even if it is 4%, on the basis of religion? Nowhere in the Constitution does it talk about religion-based reservation.
Okay, let me say this again, Zakka. It is not based on religion. It is based on 2AB category, wherein Muslims are also included because of socio-economic backwardness. Jains are also included in it. There are Christians who are included in it. There are multiple other communities that are included in 2AB, and this is purely on socio-economic basis.
So RP saying, so not all Muslims will be eligible for this, only the backward caste, and there are about 10 or 20 subcastes, even within Muslims, who will be the only ones who will be eligible for this 2A and 2B quota. So it's not really for their Muslim identity, it is for their backwardness, socio-economic backwardness, that they are getting these contracts. Let RP Singh respond. RP Singh.
Zakka, one issue is, which he is trying to explain, is that there is reservation as per the backwardness, not as per the religion.
Yeah.
The other issue is that Mr. Shivakumar has gone to record saying that a constitution can be changed. There's a bigger concern that to appease certain community, you are prepared to change the constitution. And you are vying for it that let there be opportunity, will change the constitution. That's the concern. That people who were swearing by constitution, showing that red blank book, and showing that I swear by constitution, his party members are saying that we will change the constitution. That's the concern. Coming to the quota, she misquoted BJP. We went against it, and then we went against the reservation. And then it was after that someone moved to the court. We were the one who have cancelled all that reservation when we were in power. Although somewhere around March before the election, 2 months before the election, but we did it. But concern is that why reservation only for Muslims or for religious minorities? And it's not first time it's happening in Karnataka. The recent budget also speaks on the similar line. Special 1,000 crore rupees have been allocated only for Muslims, not only for all religion. I mean, there it was only for Muslims. That special provisions, like if you want, I can name few, where renovation of work board properties 150 crore rupees. I mean, why do you need to renovate work board property? Work board is an independent body and has enough funds. Building of another Hajj Bhavan like building in Karnataka, increasing the salaries of Imam to 6,000 and to the Muslims to 5,000. So there is an ongoing effort to appease Muslims for a vote bank objective. There's the concern, and then going to the extent that they will change the constitution.
Okay, so this is the exact quote of what DK Shivakumar said, and I quote, "Let us see what comes out. I know everyone will go to court. Let us wait for some good day. That good day will come. Constitution will be changing over time. There are judgments which alter the constitution also." Lavanya Balal. This is the exact quote that he used.
Yes.
That Congress or Karnataka Congress is not averse to changing the constitution. That's why the BJP is making a big issue out of it.
He did not say that.
I read the exact quote.
I know that. I know. I heard it. I have seen the program as well.
Okay.
So he says, if there is a judgment that comes for or against, which may need the constitutional changes, we are for it. He says if there have been instances of judiciary making changes, and we welcome such changes. He said people will go to court of what proposal we have put out. If they go to court and if they say, no, this cannot happen, we welcome it. And also, Mr. R.P. Singh sounds extremely uneducated about this issue. I'm sorry, sir. You're a very senior person, but this changes into category 2AB has happened in 1994, and your government has also been in power in Karnataka after that. Sir, let me make it very clear. On December 20th, 2019, the Karnataka High Court upheld the reservation in civil works contracts, sir. We are following the judiciary. It has upheld this decision of the government, and right now, let me make it very clear to the entire world. 24% of the civil contract work, which is below 2 crores, goes to SC/ST. 4% goes to OBC contractors belonging to category 1, you know, the big time contractors. 15% for OBC contractors belonging to category 2A, and 4% for OBC contractors belonging to category 2B, which also includes Buddhists and other minorities, including Muslims.
All right.
Now, when they're talking about the budget allocation, sir, you're talking about budget allocation. 1% of Karnataka's budget allocation has been for all minorities, not just Muslims, all minorities. That includes Jain priests who will get a monthly pension of 6,000 rupees across the state. Please do not forget that. You seem to forget we Jains exist in this world.
Okay. Coming from a Jain, I guess, yeah, that's a fair point. R.P. Singh, who incidentally is also a minority, so yeah, you can't hold that against him. But R.P. Singh, the point that she's making is that for 30 years, this quota has existed.
You quoted me as minority, but within our minority, we are classified under Section 25B of the Constitution, where we are part of the larger Hindu sect, and in that we get reservation otherwise also. Sure. We don't need special reservation as allocated for the religious minority. But he has misquoted. She has misquoted something. We have ended the reservation, 4% reservation, which was given to Vokalingas and Lingas back in 2023. 27th May.
They are not OBC. They are general category, sir. They are not OBC. Vokalingas are not OBC, sir.
Please, I never interrupted you. Yes,
sorry, I had to correct you. I'm so sorry. Vokalingas and Lingayats are not OBC.
Okay, let him make the point. Let him make the point. Yeah.
But that 4% reservation was there for Muslims, and then we cancelled that and we gave it to the. Ma'am, please don't be impatient. I mean, you are a sensible woman, and then please very reasonable also. So we are the one who cancelled it, and then someone went to the court thereafter. But fact is that where you have read it from various leaders, right from Sardar Patel to Nehru ji and Ambedkar ji, all of them. I mean, those who want the kinds of things that have placed in Pakistan, not here. I mean, he said so. The Sardar Patel said in the Constitutional Assembly in 28th August 1947. Here we are building a nation, and we are laying the foundation of one nation. And those who choose to divide again and sow the seed of disruption will have no place, no quarter here. I must say that plainly enough. I mean, you want me to quote Nehruji also? I have a separate quote from Nehruji also.
All right, I did the quotes. Anyway, we'll leave it at that. Let's see how this plays out. I suspect that the blowback around this may hold up Parliament for a couple of days coming up as well. We'll see how this story plays out. Thank you very much to Lavanya Ballal Jain and also to Mr. R.P. Singh. I want to go to a piece of breaking news that's just coming through. There's a crucial BJP meeting that's happening right now at BJP President J.P. Nadda's residence. Home Minister Amit Shah is believed to be there. Kiren Rijiju, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, is there. B.L. Santosh, the organizational points person, he is there. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, Piyush Goyal, the Commerce Minister, Ashwini Vaishnav, the INB and Railways Minister is there. Shivraj Singh Chauhan, the Agriculture Minister, is there. And G. Kishan Reddy, the Culture Minister, is also there. So it's a high-level meeting. What it's about, let's try and find out from Arun Dhanta. Arun, any idea what is the subject matter of the meeting that's happening right now?
Well, Zakka, it's very difficult to actually gauge the exact point of discussion between all these top leaders, top ministers, because it could be, of course, related to some organizational matter, because you have B.L. Santosh, the organizational secretary, national organization secretary of BJP, and of course the other top ministers of the Modi cabinet. Of course, it could be related to the the matters in the parliament. You have the work bill coming into the parliament, and then of course the most important one is the organizational polls of BJP. Whether they have finalized the name of their candidate for the post of national president, and also of course importantly there are states like Uttar Pradesh and others where still they have not completed their organization polls. So there could be any issue which they will be discussing in this meeting. But one thing is sure that this is an important meeting, and in fact 3-4 days back all these top leaders were also in discussion at JP Nadda's residence. So perhaps in coming few days we will see some important decision, and also of course strategy about the parliament of the BJP. So I think there are multiple issues which perhaps can come up in this discussion.
All right, we'll see whether it pertains to the ongoing session of Parliament, where this issue about minority quotas has become a big one, or whether this has to do with some organizational polls. Remember, the BJP is due to elect a new party president. That's been hanging for a while as well, and there is speculation that it could get announced as soon as this session gets over. Anyway, let's move on to the other big story, which is the Supreme Court on Saturday put out the probe report on the cash recovery at the residence of Delhi High Court Judge Yashwant Verma. The report, which was accompanied by a letter from the Delhi High Court Chief Justice, as well as Justice Verma's response to the questions asked of him, it included visuals, and you're seeing those pictures, which show piles of charred currency notes, in fact, which were found after this fire incident was reported on the night of Holi, the 14th of March, 15th of morning. According to that 25-page inquiry report, which was uploaded on the Supreme Court's website, Justice Verma has denied all the allegations, calling them a conspiracy to malign him. The Delhi High Court Chief Justice Devendra Kumar Upadhyay, who had reported to the CJI, had asked him to account for the presence of the money in the outhouse of his bungalow. In response, Justice Verma told Chief Justice Upadhyay that no cash was ever placed in that storeroom either by him or any of his family members. He denied outright that the money belonged to him. On the same day, the Supreme Court said that it had set up a 3-member committee which has the Chief Justices of the Punjab and Haryana High Court, the Himachal Pradesh High Court, and also one of the judges from the Karnataka High Court, the 3 members who will look into the allegations against Justice Verma. Today, the Delhi High Court withdrew the judicial work that was assigned to Justice Verma with immediate effect until further orders. The court also, the Collegium today, transferred Justice Verma back to his parent court, the Allahabad High Court, where the Bar Association seems to have taken grave offence at that. They have said that they will protest if Justice Verma is repatriated to the Allahabad High Court. Meanwhile, top sources have told CNN News 18 that the 3-judge committee is likely to begin its probe in the next couple of days. Now, while the Supreme Court formed a 3-judge inquiry panel against Justice Yashwant Verma, here's what the rule book says if there are grave allegations brought forth against a sitting judge. After receiving a complaint against a judge, the Chief Justice of India will then seek a reply from the concerned judge. If the reply is not satisfactory, then the Chief Justice will form an internal committee to investigate the case. Now, usually, the committee consists of 1 Supreme Court judge followed by 2 High Court Chief Justices. After a thorough investigation, the report is then presented before the Chief Justice of India by the judges panel. If the panel comes to the conclusion that yes, there was misconduct and the misconduct is grave, then the Chief Justice of India can ask the concerned judge to resign. However, and there is a caveat here, in case the judge refuses to resign, then the government has to initiate the impeachment process against the sitting judge. And the process to remove a sitting judge or impeachment is not easy at all. And here's why it is legally challenging. Since removal is only possible on grounds of proven misbehavior or incapacity, the ability to give reasoned judgments, if you can prove either misbehavior or incapacity, then the impeachment process requires concrete evidence. The process avoids frivolous attempts to try and maintain the independence of the judiciary, and that makes the process itself deliberately laborious and rigorous. Furthermore, the committee of judges investigate the allegations, they deliberate upon the allegations, which again is a time-consuming process. It requires meticulous proof as well as application of mind. And lastly, achieving bipartisan support in both houses of parliament, that's a very rare thing. And that adds to the difficulty of removing a sitting judge. There has to be 2/3 majority for both houses of parliament for the impeachment process to go through. Some even argue that because the impeachment process has deliberately been made so difficult and so uncertain to try and avoid frivolous cases, it actually ends up doing the opposite, which is it gives extraordinary leeway to errant judges. All right, so over the weekend you had this dramatic picture of currency notes catching fire, on fire literally, at the outhouse of Judge Yashwant Verma, who's now currently facing an inquiry as well as has been de-rostered from any judgments, from any sitting on any benches. I want to go across to former Attorney General Mr. Mukul Rohatgi, who's now joining us. Thank you very much, sir, for speaking with us. You must have seen these pictures as well, pretty dramatic, you know, currency notes on fire. What was your first reaction when you saw those pictures? And does the defense that's been put forth by Justice Verma add up, saying that, you know, him and his family were not there, they're being framed, etc., etc.? Or does he need to come clean on where this money came from? What was it doing lying around in his outhouse?
See, obviously, my first reaction was that the judge will have a lot of explanation to do if money is found in his house, including his outhouse, that is the judge's premises. The amount is very large. There cannot be any explanation except one of moral turpitude. That was my first reaction. But from events which have unfolded, I am not so sure whether the explanation of the judge is convincing or not convincing or should be thrown out. I think there are questions on either side, and I may only tell you, one thing which puzzles me is this, that if the amount was some 4,000 bundles and there was a fire. Today I saw a picture of the burnt notes in the edition of Free Press Journal Mumbai, where the photograph is very, very clear that a large number of notes were half burnt. So if that is so, why did the police not take possession of the burnt notes? Because that is case property. Why did not police call the income tax, which is the normal protocol, when huge amounts of cash is recovered? Nothing of that sort has happened. And it appears that next morning, whether the High Court Chief Justice's man went there or where the judge himself was there or whatever, there is no recovery at all, even of sample notes. So where is the evidence of corruption today? You can't have a case of corruption only on a video without the actual material being available. So I don't know, much can be said on either side. I don't even know whether the notes were genuine or fake.
Okay.
Suppose you have fake notes and you burn them in somebody's house and his reputation is tarred because notes are found. Today there is no case property, there is no material. Why did the police not recover it? Why did any government agency not make a panchnama is the first question which has to be answered.
Mr. Rohatgi, so assuming that the judge is right when he says, you know, somebody has framed him for this, you know, shouldn't the CCTV footage around the house, the outhouse, if somebody has come into that premises and put the money there and then burnt it to frame Justice Verma,
right.
Shouldn't that be put out?
No, you are absolutely right. Therefore, these questions have to be investigated and answered. In the last 3 months, you should look at the CCTV. Who's coming, who's going? How is that room being accessed on a daily basis? Who is accessing that room? What are the call records of the judge show? What does the CRPF say when they are guarding the place? All that material must come out for a proper investigation. Unfortunately, the case property has disappeared. That was primary evidence. All this is secondary evidence. But whatever there is, it should be looked at, it should be examined. And if I may say so, in my humble opinion, this judge's inquiry cannot get to the bottom of it. You require a police investigation because you have to question these police officers who were present, who notified the police commissioner, Why did not the police commissioner notify the income tax? Why did they not make a panchnama? Where did the material go? Who removed the charred debris? How did it find place outside the judge's house? Where is the NDMC chaps who saw today's paper says they saw some burnt notes? All that will have to be examined. CDR will have to be examined. Phone records will have to be examined. You require forensic experts to do that. A judge's committee can't do that. And therefore, according to me, a full-fledged police investigation is the need of the hour. For the simple reason that one must come to a conclusion as quickly as possible. Because you see, if the judge is right, his reputation has become mud anyway. So after putting in 30 years of practice as a lawyer or a judge, it has become mud. If he has to get some relief, it should be immediate. If he has to be, convicted or arrested, that also should happen at the earliest. These things cannot linger on.
So, the three judges are looking into this. Like you said, they're not in a criminal investigation. They are simply looking at the matter of whether Justice Verma can continue as judge and whether his explanation adds up. My point is, given what we have seen over the last 3 or 4 days, and clearly this is, really ratcheted up the hornet's nest within the legal circles, do you think Justice Verma's continuance as a judge is still tenable?
No, his continuance as a judge is not tenable in the current circumstances. The order of the Chief Justice of India is correct and that must continue. But the point is, it cannot continue interminably. It must continue for a month or so and the police should be asked immediately, because according to me, the judge committee cannot get to the bottom of this. Lot of examination has to be done of various people, various records, including some forensic experts to go to the place to see if they can find any trace of what is happening, etc., etc.
All right, Mr. Rohatgi, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. Mr. Mukul Rohatgi, the former Attorney General of India, saying that a judge's inquiry alone is not enough. It will not suffice. There has to be an FIR lodged by the police, and the police have to get to the bottom of the cash, whether it was real, how did it happen, was it an accident, or did somebody deliberately set the cash pile on fire, and most importantly, where did all that cash come from in the first place? So amid this purported cash recovery from the residence of Justice Yashwant Verma, there is indication that the central government is mulling another law on the appointment of judges. Now, according to top government sources, it's still early days yet, but it looks like the centre is not ruling out the option. What could make this easier is that the opposition, remember the Congress too voted for the NJAC, is likely to be on board with a new system to appoint judges. Senior Congress leader Jairam Ramesh, in fact, had raised this issue on Friday, while Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, who is the presiding officer in the Rajya Sabha, he had referred to the National Judicial Appointments Commission Act, the NJAC Act, saying that it was significant. This is an indication of which way the government could likely move in the future when it comes to the appointment of judges. Earlier today, Dhankar even called for a meeting of the Leader of the House, JP Nadda, and the Leader of the Opposition, Mallikarjun Kharge, in his chambers. Without naming specifically the NJAC Act, he hinted at a possible revival of a different system to try and appoint judges. Remember, the NJAC Act was passed in 2014, but it was struck down by the Supreme Court the following year, declaring it unconstitutional.
The Parliament, in a much-needed historic step, passed the 99th Constitutional Amendment Bill, paving way for the National Judicial Commission. There was unprecedented support. The Lok Sabha unanimously voted in its favor, with there being no abstention. This House too passed it unanimously with one abstention. Rarely in parliamentary democracy there has been such massive support to a constitutional legislation. This was culmination of a basic, fundamental parliamentary process. This historic parliamentary mandate was undone by the Supreme Court.
Now, let's take a look at the main differences between the collegium system, which appoints judges currently, and the NJAC, which the Modi government had brought forth, passed in Parliament, but was struck down by the court. Now, the collegium is a system that's based on the three judges case, The NJAC is a body created to end the collegium system of appointing judges. The Supreme Court collegium system consists of the Chief Justice of India plus the next 4 senior-most Supreme Court judges, while the High Court collegium again consists of the Chief Justice plus 2 of the senior-most judges. The NJAC instead envisaged 6 members. The CJI would be the chairperson, then the 2 senior-most Supreme Court judges, the Union Law Minister, and 2 eminent persons, one nominated by the Chief Justice, Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition, and the other nominated from the SC, ST, OBC minority communities or women. Now, the collegium has no constitutional backing. There is nothing in the Constitution which says that collegium is the way in which judges would be appointed. It's based on a judicial interpretation of Articles 124 and 217, also flows from the basic structure of the Constitution judgment that was envisaged in 1971. Now, the NJAC was introduced through a constitutional amendment, Article 124A, the NJAC Act of 2014, and was later struck down by a constitutional bench of the Supreme Court. The Act, before it was struck down, was passed unanimously by both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. The collegium recommends names to the President. The government can object, but ultimately if the collegium insists on a particular name, then the view of the collegium will prevail. The government's role is limited to getting an inquiry conducted by the Intelligence Bureau if a person is to be elevated as a judge either to the High Court or to the Supreme Court. The NJAC, on the other hand, would recommend names to the President. Any 2 members out of the 6 could veto a proposal, ensuring that there has to be consensus. The role of the executive is limited to raising objections or seeking clarifications. It cannot reject if the collegium were to insist. The NJAC requires significant involvement via the Union Law Minister and influence in nominating eminent persons as well. So as the outrage intensified over comedian Kunal Kamra's objectionable remarks against Eknath Shinde, the Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister, the management of the Mumbai Habitat Studio has announced that it was shutting down. Now, that's the venue where this show was shot. The members of the Shiv Sena Shinde faction vandalized the studio in an uproar over the comedian's remark against Deputy Chief Minister Shinde. 12 protesters were arrested and then later released amid a massive uproar over his remarks on Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde and the vandalism of a Mumbai hotel as well, the hotel where he was staying. The city's municipal commission on Monday began the demolition of the illegal parts of the studio in Khar. It in fact cited alleged violations of building bylaws in that Habitat studio. Kamra, while performing at the Unicontinental Mumbai in Mumbai's Khar, called Shinde a traitor. He used a modified version of a Hindi song from the Bollywood movie Dil To Pagal Hai to take a dig at the 2022 rebellion of Shinde against Uddhav Thackeray.
खाने की रिक्शा चेहरे पे दाढ़ी आंखों पे चश्मा हाय मंत्री नहीं वो दल बदलू है और कहा क्या जाए जिस थाली में खाए उसमें ही वो छेद कर जाए मंत्रालय से ज्यादा फडणवीस की गोदी में मिल जाए तीर कमान मिला है इसको बाप मेरा ये चाहे थाने की रिक्शा चेहरे पे दाढ़ी आंखों पे चश्मा हाय.
Now, while the UBT Sena chief has backed Kunal Kamra's mockery and mimicry of the Deputy Chief Minister, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Devendra Fadnavis, has demanded an apology and said that such statements will not be tolerated in the name of freedom of speech. He's also assured that legal action will be taken against Kamra.
अभिव्यक्तीचं स्वातंत्र्य देखील मानणाऱ्यांपैकी आपण आहोत, पण अभिव्यक्तीचं स्वातंत्र्य हे जर स्वैराचाराकडे जात असेल तर मात्र ते काही मान्य होऊ शकणार नाही. खरं म्हणजे हा जो स्टँड अप कॉमेडियन आहे कुणाल कामरा, याचा जर आपण पूर्व इतिहास बघितला तर देशातल्या उच्च पदस्थ लोकांच्या संदर्भात मग ते प्रधानमंत्री असो की मुख्य न्यायाधीश असो किंवा वेगवेगळे न्यायाधीश असो किंवा न्याय व्यवस्था असो यांच्या संदर्भात अत्यंत खालच्या दर्जाचं बोलणं 2024च्या निवडणुकीने जनतेनेच हे ठरवून दिलं कोण खुद्दार आहे आणि कोण गद्दार आहे.
कुणाल कामरा ने मुझे नहीं लगता कुछ गलत कहा है. गद्दारों को गद्दार करना ये किसी पर हमला करने की बात नहीं है. जो गद्दार है वो गद्दार है. जिसके खून में गद्दारी है वो शिवसैनिक हो ही नहीं सकता. गद्दारांचं उदात्तीकरण करणारा आणि शिवरायाचा अपमान झाला असताना गप्प बसेल हा शिवसैनिक असू शकत नाही.
A gig by comedian Kunal Kamra at this very location, the habitat at Khar, has now snowballed into a political controversy. This very video, according to sources, was in fact from February when this gig took place, but was uploaded on social media only yesterday. As a result of which, several Shiv Sainiks had gathered at this very location yesterday, and they vandalized several structures, including the studio, which is at the habitat. Apart from that, the glass door of this very structure was vandalized, the lift was vandalized, and the name of habitat was in fact removed by putting black paint all across. In fact, the instructions and discussions about the gigs which were out on display right here have also been vandalized by the Shiv Sainiks. Of these Shiv Sainiks, there was an FIR that was registered at Khar police station. Approximately 12 of them were arrested, including Shiv Sena leader Rahul Kanal. They were in fact produced before the court today and have been let out on bail. Another FIR was registered against the comedian Kunal Kamra for having made the statement against Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, wherein he called him Gaddar. But right here, the FIR was made at MIDC police station and has now been transferred to Khar police station on the basis of it being a zero FIR. Cops are now trying to find out where Kunal Kamra is. In fact, on having tried to trace his location, sources indicate that he is not in the city. So investigation in this case continues, but parallelly there has also been a BMC action right here. Sources from BMC indicated that they came here to check the maps and the structure. However, they were carrying hammers and cutters along, and which is where noises about hammers could in fact be heard right here behind. Chief Minister has himself gotten on the floor of the House to condemn this very statement that was being made.
Maharang Baloch, a human rights activist from Balochistan, has been currently held and is in detention without any legal proceedings whatsoever. Her arrest on the 22nd of March during what was a peaceful protest in Quetta has drawn international criticism, with groups like Amnesty International and Frontline Defenders calling for Baloch's release. According to Indian intelligence sources, the abduction and killing of activists are known tactics of the Pakistan Army and the ISI. They often target Baloch individuals who are fighting for their land and for better opportunities. Maharang Baloch's activism has made her a target, and her detention without any legal precedents cited or her legal rights cited to her has raised concerns about human rights abuses in Balochistan, which has long been a concern for the people there. During a crackdown on protesters in Quetta, Maharang Baloch and her sister were both detained and held at the Huda district prison in Quetta. Maharang Baloch is one of Pakistan's most prominent human rights advocates. She is a surgeon by profession and leads the Baloch Yagjeti Committee, advocating against enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings, which has become a huge issue for the Baloch people. She champions non-violent protests, challenges oppression. Her advocacy has drawn international attention to the Baloch crisis. She began activism at the age of 16 when her father went missing in 2009. Balochistan is a resource-rich and politically volatile region. It has faced decades of violence and systemic abuses by the Pakistani authorities, including by the Pakistani military and the intelligence agencies. Maharang Baloch's leadership in movements like the Baloch Long March back in November of 2023 and the Baloch Raji Muchi in July 2024 brought global attention to what was going on in the southwestern part of Pakistan. All right, Boeing has managed to get the design and manufacture of the F-47, which is the United States' next generation fighter jet, the 6th generation fighter jet, which currently no air force in the world has in operational service. The F-47 is touted as the most advanced and lethal aircraft that will ever be built. Trump made this announcement last Friday along with Pete Hegseth, the Defense Secretary, and the Chief of Air Staff of the US Air Force. But what will the F-47 look like? What are its capabilities? And where does the F-47 stack up with the other 6th generation fighters that are being tested, whether it's by the Russians or more importantly by the Chinese? Since the 1950s, most of America's warplanes have been given names which indicate a potential threat, like the F-4 Phantom or the A-6 Intruder. Or they've got names of animals and birds like the F-14 Tomcat, the F-15 Eagle, and the F-16 Falcon. Last week, The country's 47th president, Donald Trump, along with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth by his side inside the Oval Office at the White House, announced that the United States Air Force is going to develop the 6th-generation fighter aircraft, the F-47. The president, Donald Trump, said that 47 was a beautiful number. He is the 47th president of the United States. He also added that Boeing will be making this new jet, and it would be considered a 6th-generation fighter.
The F-47 will be the most advanced, most capable, most lethal aircraft ever built. An experimental version of the plane has secretly been flying for almost 5 years, and we're confident that it massively overpowers the capabilities of any other nation. There's no other nation. We know every other plane. I've seen every one of them, and it's not even close. This is a next level. You know, level 5 is good. This is level 6.
The Air Force Chief of Staff, General David Allwyn, was also in the Oval Office when Trump made this announcement. He later said that the F-47 was a monumental leap forward in securing America's air superiority for decades to come. The F-47 would be the most advanced, lethal, and adaptable fighter jet ever developed. It has been designed specifically to outpace, which means it's faster, outmaneuver, and outmatch any adversary with a 6th-generation fighter. Trump, in fact, said that an experimental version of the F-47 had been flying for almost 5 years. If the F-47 delivers on all the hype and the promises that it seems to be making, it could well be the most advanced fighter jet in the world. Currently, there are no 6th-generation fighter jets that are part of an operational fleet. Both Russia and China are working on their own 6th-generation warplanes, as are a bunch of European countries, but none of them officially has a commissioned 6th-generation fighter in their fleet. American generals and admirals have long prized speed as a critical metric for how well the fighter jets perform. Although off late, it's not so much speed, but stealth and the ability to fly longer distances with more fuel-efficient engines. These have become as much important factors, if not more, than speed. The F-47 will fly above Mach 2, which is 2 times the speed of sound. That's roughly about 2,400 kilometers an hour.
This provides the president options from the very one end, which is a quick response, and then we can get right back into fighting stance without having to deploy troops that are going to take maybe months and cost more lives. We can be back in fighting stance, and maybe we restore that deterrence. All the way to decisive victory as part of a joint force that is the most lethal and capable military ever known in history.
The SR-71 Blackbird, the reconnaissance plane, even today holds the record for the fastest ever human flight which was successful. That record was set in the late 1970s. It continues to be unchallenged at over Mach 3, or more than 3 times the speed of sound. According to the US Air Force, the twin-engine F-22 Raptors, they are the fastest in the fleet currently. They can cruise above Mach 1.5, even reach Mach 2. While the single-engine F-35, which is the most advanced fighter jet currently in the US fleet, that can reach up to Mach 1.6. The F-47 is expected to cost more than $100 million per fighter jet. It is the most competitively priced fighter aircraft as and when it gets commissioned into the US military. The F-35 too, which currently is the most expensive fighter jet in the world, is about $80 to $90 million. But more than speed, increasingly fighter jets are being valued for stealth. The F-47 would be virtually untraceable, making it one of the stealthiest aircraft in the world. It will make it almost impossible for enemy radars to pick up the flight movement of the F-47. The United States has used stealth aircraft in combat, in wars, since the first Gulf War of 1991. It used the Lockheed Martin F-117 Nighthawk, leading the attacks into Iraq. During the NATO bombings in the Balkans in 1999, another stealth aircraft, the B-2 Spirit bombers, were put into combat for the very first time. But of all the stealth warplanes that the United States has put into service, they've all got one similar feature, particularly in the last 30 years, and that is to make them less and less visible to enemy radar, meaning they are prioritizing stealth much more than speed. These warplanes are also designed to carry missiles or bombs either in internal bays or in external wings. But then if you use weapons on the external wings, that makes these aircraft much more susceptible to radar pickups. The F-35 can carry a handful of missiles and bombs internally under each wing, but it can also carry them externally. The B-2 bomber, though, is much bigger and can carry much higher payload, in fact up to 40,000 pounds of bombs internally. So how did the current 5th and under development 6th generation aircraft stack up against each other? Currently the most aggressive, the most popular fighter jets are being deployed by the United States Air Force, the Russian Air Force and the Chinese PLA Air Force. Here's a quick check of each one of them. The F-22 Raptor, its top speed at Mach 2.25, which is roughly 1200 kilometers per hour, which means it can go up to 2500 kilometers per hour or more in high altitude. It is currently the fastest aircraft in the US military right now. There is the F-35 Lightning II. The top speed is slightly slower than the Raptor, but it can go up to Mach 1.6, which is approximately about 1200 miles per hour. Then there is the Russian Sukhoi 57 Felon, which also can match the top speed of the Raptor at 2.0 Mach, which is approximately 2400 kilometers per hour. This is the latest 5th generation fighter commissioned into the Russian Air Force. It's been deployed in the Ukraine battlefront as well. Then there is the Chinese PLA Air Force, the Chengdu J-20, which is the current 5th generation, currently developed and commissioned into the Chinese PLA Air Force. It is the highest 5th generation fighter that's currently in the Chinese stable. Its top speed is also Mach 2, which is twice the speed of sound at 2400 kilometers per hour. And then there is the Chengdu J-36, which China's 6th generation fighter jet, which is currently in the development stage. China is developing this 6th generation jet, also known as the Baide or the White Emperor. The specific speed details for J-36 are not fully confirmed yet. It's still undergoing testing. However, it's designed for supersonic speeds and is expected to have a performance similar to or exceeding that of the current 5th generation fighters. There has been speculation since Trump's announcement last week of the F-47 that it was the leaked pictures of the Chinese 6th generation fighter, which is in the development stage, which prompted Trump and the US Air Force to make that announcement public last week. But at a time when we are seeing both on the Ukraine battlefront as well as in the Gaza battlefront, countries are resorting to cheaper but more sophisticated drones, the question also raises itself as to whether the efficacy of these fighter jets will continue into the wars of the future.
Adolescence tells the story of a 13-year-old boy in England accused of murdering a girl in his class. It's a deep dive into the traumas and impact of what teenagers are exposed to online these days. It's inspired by tragic real-life events. The miniseries was co-written by playwright Jack Thorne and the acclaimed British actor Stephen Graham. What would you say you're trying to explore in these 4 episodes?
There was 2 young boys who'd stabbed these young girls to death. And they were at opposite ends of the country. And it just made me really, if I'm completely honest with you, it really hurt my heart. And it made me wonder why. What I thought we could look at, is maybe we're all slightly accountable in some way, shape or form. Do you know what I mean? And we look at it and we analyse it from a different perspective. So maybe it's down to parenting. Maybe it's down to, the school system, the government, the community, and the social structure which the child's raised. But on top of that, when me and you were kids, we didn't have the internet, but now the internet is a huge influence on our children. Jack did a lot of research on this project, and he said it took him down a lot of dark holes. And that's where Charlotte, Jack's assistant, she found that whole kind of incel culture and the manosphere, because I had no idea about any of that stuff. What this program did, and Hannah said this, my wife said, what she feels our program has achieved as for parents to be able to open that bedroom door now and talk to their children, be they male or female, and ask them what's going on. Let's just, look, yourself, when you go to a restaurant sometimes, and no disrespect, I understand it, but kids are sat there talk to each other, ask each other what's going on. That's the only way we can understand what's happening. Adolescence is such a difficult age. Your brain's forming, your chemicals are all over the place. You're learning about yourself. You're trying to construct this character that's going to take you into the future. So let's talk. Let's open the bridges of communication with each other. That's all we're trying to do.
जीरा से प्याज